What's up, everyone? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 10. As you can see, we have Dugan, the Butcher, and we have special guest Rob from RJRK Sports Group. Let's get some things out of the way. So, David E., Hidden Stills, providing the garage and the boys with some bourbon. They have whiskey. They have rum. Tequila.
I'm a fan of the rum.
The aged rum is delicious.
Yeah.
Ready to drink cocktails. So thanks for Hidden Stills. In the right-hand corner of the page today, we have SeatGeek. So thanks for sponsoring us. If you use the code DrunkPhilsFan, no S at the end, you'll get $20 off your tickets if you buy any tickets on there, which is pretty cool. And beers. Chris, what are you drinking?
I got a High Life right now because the Phils won, so I'm having a little champagne. But I'm gonna move. The next one I'm gonna move on to is High Hopes because in love for Harry after the Phillies win. This is a Flying Fish, their hoppy pilsner. So it's a cool can. It's got the rubber tree and the ant, the whole deal. So that'll be my next one, celebrating the Phils win, singing the High Hopes with Harry.
Awesome. So I have Banquet on tap, and I'm eventually going to go get Ring the Bell or get into Ring the Bell from Conshohocken. Maybe one day, either of those two, Chris, can put a keg in here, and that'd be good for me, bad for my liver, great for marketing. What about you, Rob? What do you got?
I got an Ultra, and you guys are way too fancy for me. I'm the lightest of light beers. I do have one of our koozies. But I'm a Michelob Ultra guy.
And the Butcher?
Very basic.
Well, fortunately for you, Rob, it does get lighter. I am a teetotaler, so I have water and I have True Moo. So it's chocolate milk because I'm just a big child.
Did you get that at school and get your pretzel too? Did it come with that? Do you remember that, Rob?
At school, come in the little tiny cartons that I can't open.
So I was disappointed it wasn't the carton.
I was hoping it.
I wish it had been, to be honest now. But I just picked that up at Grocery Outlet today while I was out.
One of them little bendy straws, too. You could punch it through the hole.
Again, all I do is make messes. So.
That's a good point. So we have Jason saying hi. Andrew with the first fuck the Mets and fuck the Giants. So thank you, Andrew. And then Cowboy Scott with FTM, my man. And Cousin Amy with, hey, fellas, good win today in FTM. So it is a good win today, and we're happy to have Rob on. So, Rob, I want to ask you a few questions about, what you do. Tell us about RJRK Sports Group. When did it start? Who's a part of it?
We are a Facebook group, RJRK Sports Group. We started 4 years ago. We're actually nearing our 4-year anniversary. It will be May 1st. When we started, 4 of us, hence the RJRK. We lost to Jay. He's no longer part of the group, but we have the R, and the K. So 3 of us are still going at it. Again, approaching 4 years. Everything is right on our Facebook page. We do online daily autograph giveaways, sports raffles, a lot of cool stuff. If you looked at the page, you could see some of the things we've given out recently, some of the memes we have that are pretty funny. We leave some of our videos up there that are pretty funny, but it's basically a form of gambling. Sorry, Facebook. I know you don't like that. We have to use a couple coded words. We can't really use dollars, and we can't really say the word Venmo, things like that on our page and our videos, but yeah, it's basically a good chance to win autograph sports memorabilia, some cool items for cheap. You could win. I'll let you ask a couple questions, or I could go on and on. I love talking about us. So,
yeah.
Well, for our listeners who may not be as savvy in the collecting or those types of things, what exactly is a break and how can they get involved in one?
Absolutely. So every day at 11 o'clock, we post the opportunity to jump in one of our breaks. And the breaks it's just another word for the raffle. The spots are 1 through 25. And basically what you do is you claim one of those numbers or multiple numbers if you wanted for a small fee. And then at the end of the day, when all 25 of those spots are filled, we do a live video, spin a wheel, 1 through 25. whatever number comes up, you win, and you win the item that we were giving out that day. And what's really cool is we let you know what you're going to win most days. So if you're a Phillies fan, like most of our people in this area are that get in our breaks, we do a lot of Philly stuff, but we'll never do a Mets thing. And if we did, a Phillies fan's not going to get into it. So it's all transparent. You basically know what you're getting. A lot of cool stuff. We just gave out Cal Ripken Jr. recently. We have Nolan Ryan upcoming. So a lot of cool stuff, mainly baseball and football. We've done a couple other sports, but it's right now with baseball going on, we're heavy baseball. So we just gave out Aaron Nola on Monday.
Oh, nice. So to follow up, so if someone wants to get involved, is it the, I guess maybe the prestige of the player or the item? Does that determine what the fee is for that? Does that change with each item?
It does. So the fee does change. Normally it's 6 beers instead of dollars per number. We normally stick with 6, but sometimes it may be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what we're giving out, what item, the prestige of the player, that sort of thing.
So Rob,
with
the Nola and Marsh, how much did you have to pay people to take those?
The Nola they were okay with. Now that was before his last start. The Marsh stuff, I even said, and like on our video and leading up to it, public enemy #1 in Philadelphia right now. He thinks he's a star. Some people like him because of the long hair, this and that. But we kind of told people public enemy #1.
Yeah, I think if Topper had any nuts, he would tell him to shave and get a haircut and say, you know, winners and hitters can wear their hair any way they want. As you can see, I'm bald. So I have no choice. But so your videos for the breaks, is that your podcast or is your podcast separate?
Podcast would be something different. So we do usually between 4 and 5 videos per week. That the videos are to give out the item. The podcast we do when the 3 of us have time and get together. Usually on Sunday we'll record one if we're all together. But that's basically just for fun and a reason for us to tell stories about our buddies and get drunk and bash the Mets. We do a lot of Mets bashing.
It sounds familiar. How long have you guys been doing that podcast?
Podcast, we have 85 episodes right now we've done.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 85.
So out of 85, you've asked us to be on 0 so far.
That's about to change. Well, it's funny that you say that.
I was trying to do my math, and I wasn't sure. You know, I'm not good at math.
Probably our first 40 or 50 are pretty bad. I'll admit that they're bad. We had bad equipment.
Growing pains are perfectly on.
Yeah, we're getting better at it now. Everything sounds a little bit better. We have the availability to call somebody, bring somebody else on. We have actual microphones and a system and everything like that. We were totally winging it at first. So check your inboxes. You'll be getting that invite soon.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're doing the breaks, like how do you determine which items you're going to use? How do you source these? Or like, what do you know that there's some things like, do you have inventory? Like, how does this happen? Like, we're also curious about that.
A little of both. So after doing it now for almost 4 years, we know what people like in our area where we are, Northeast Pennsylvania. So it's a lot of Philadelphia teams. It's the Pittsburgh teams, a lot of the New York teams, or a really popular player that you don't need to be from a specific market to like a Ken Griffey Jr. or Nolan Ryan or a name like that, that everybody likes. So we kind of have a good idea of what people like, what to buy, what to use for these breaks, because the worst thing in the world is when we post a break and nobody gets in it and it's just sitting there and we look foolish. So when we post something, we hope it fills up really fast. That usually means it's something good. That's something that's in demand that people want to get into.
Yeah. So Rob, I don't know if you can see the screen, but our guy Steve wants to know, if you win a contest, how do you get the item? Is it shipping? Is that at an extra cost? Do you meet up at a bar? Like, how does that work?
Any of the above work. So usually the people are in our area. So one of the group members will meet with them, sometimes at a bar. If people are out of the area, we will ship to them too. It's not a problem. We do that as well. No extra charge. We do that for our members. So if you are out of the area and jumped in one of our breaks and won something, we would ship it to you. It's not an issue.
So I think Steve is asking because he likes to go to different bars, and he's going to be doing this. You're going to see that name, Steve Mold.
Okay.
So let me bring it up. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll go to Northeast PA."
Yeah, we got a lot of nice bars here. So
absolutely, and breweries especially. So Steve has never passed a brewery that he didn't love.
He
or
loves
go
a distillery. He'll go anywhere.
A cidery,
nice.
any of those.
Well, Steve, I'm sure we can meet up somewhere.
So I have a two-part question here. What is the coolest thing that you guys have done a break with?
Ooh, I like that. We did a Ken Griffey Jr. Mariners jersey recently, earlier this year. That was really cool. We've done Bo Jackson, Oakland Raiders stuff before. That was really cool. A few Jeter things that were cool. Yankee stuff obviously does well too. We just recently got a big Jim Brown autographed item. And when I say big enough that my girlfriend does not like it because it's in the house and taking up room and wants us to put it up as a break. A very large frame poster from Jim Brown. So I think that's a cool item that we have too. But if you look at our page, first of all, if you go to RJRK Sports Group, it's a private group, so you have to request to join. But we approve everybody, let's be honest, because we want people looking. We could go back and see all of the things that we've given out recently or even from day one. Every item we've given out, you could see the pictures and see all the things we've given out. So,
and then collectively, the three of us want to know, how much of a break will it cost us to have you not put any fucking New York shit up on your page anymore?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Yankee stuff does well for us, so we're going to continue with Yankee stuff. Mets stuff, we don't do Met stuff there. We do fantasy baseball together. Nobody drafts a Met guy. We are as anti-fuck the Mets as you guys are. Like
Chris likes Pete.
We hate them as well. We hate them as well.
Chris loves Pete Alonso.
I've been looking for a Pete Alonso jersey, but no.
He wants that bobblehead where he's riding the polar bear. He's sitting on his polar bear's shoulders.
You'll have to get that at a different group.
Good answer, Rob. We have a Jason Herzog with a little fuck the Yankees. So
that's fair.
When you do 1 through 25, like, have you had an instance like this Griffey thing where someone's like, you know what, that's worth more than the money. I'm going to put in all 25 at 6 beers.
Yeah, never all 25, but we've had people take 10, 12, 50. Yeah. Things like that. So if somebody really wants something, they will invest and take as many spots as financially makes sense, I guess, for them.
Yep.
Do it. So you'll see that a lot with the really popular stuff. I hate the Steelers. I'm an Eagles fan, but Steelers stuff, people in our area go crazy for. We've done TJ Watt, like Hines Ward, stuff like that. And you'll see people taking 10, 12, 15 spots because they love those guys. That kind of
thing. So, Rob, real quick, what's the furthest you've shipped, like someone, like a winner? What's the furthest you've sent, or like the craziest place that you've had to send something to? Is there anything that sticks out?
Nothing that sticks out. We usually have our regulars that I have to ship to. I know we have a guy in Connecticut I ship to, a few guys in Florida that I ship to, but nothing really crazy or nothing off the wall, or nothing out of the country yet.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we'll get that big one day. I'm okay with that, because that means we're growing and we're everywhere, but nothing really crazy yet that jumps to mind.
That's fair.
Yeah, like the out of country stuff. Like we often get, there's a few Nigerian princes that follow us, and they're big Phillies fans apparently, Rob. And they have some money set aside for us if we send them our Social Security number and ATM PIN code. So it's possible.
Yeah,
I actually just sent a blood sample, so we're good.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had a chance to meet any of these players that you've got signed memorabilia from?
Funny they ask, and I have this here because I was hoping he kind of came up. Our buddy is Lenny Dykstra.
The dude.
Obviously, Lenny's a little bit down on his luck these days, is a nice way of saying it, but he lives in our area now. We've hung out with him quite a few times. We've taken him to appearances, things like that. He napped in my car once. Actually, a true story. We drove him to Harrisburg, and he napped in the back seat the entire way.
It's such a lame story.
Yeah, and then we bought him Arby's after that, and he was very happy. He got to order for himself at Arby's at the drive-thru like a little kid from the back window.
Is one of you a probation officer?
No, we are not. We are not. But, yeah. So since we've been doing it, I would say Lenny's probably the only one that we've really met. Hope to, get a little bit bigger. I have a friend in Maryland who does private signings with players and things like that. So maybe we'll get a little bit bigger and start doing things like that.
There you go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of questions of interest. We wanted to ask you before we move into the Phillies, like, what's a sneak peek at the next few that are upcoming? Like, let's wet the lips of some of these people.
Tomorrow's break is actually a steroid break. It's all the 90s sluggers that were on steroids that everybody loves. They pretend they hate, but we love that era of baseball. Let's be honest. Canseco, Palmeiro, Sheffield, Sosa, all of those guys. So we have a steroid break tomorrow over the weekend. A nice Nolan Ryan autographed baseball with a few inscriptions on there. Hall of Fame, the number of strikeouts and things like that. And next week upcoming is all NFL draft stuff. With the draft next week, we're shifting back to football for 1 week. A lot of cool NFL stuff, including Abdul Carter, a few of the other high draft picks that are, going to get taken in the first round on Thursday night.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
So Steve also wants to ask, how do you obtain these items? We don't want you to, go under the hood and tell us the secrets, but like,
I'll tell you when we meet at the brewery or the bar, Steve. We can
there you go.
There it is.
So Steve Spears to get the Nolan Ryan or the steroid break. I know he'll be in on it, and hopefully
11 o'clock daily. 11 o'clock daily is when we post it. All right, it's live. Jump in and claim your numbers. So like that Nolan Ryan will probably fill up fast. So
how quick does someone need to be on the steroid one? 25 people? That's it?
Yeah.
And it's closed. Okay.
It's closed.
And how do you, like, let's say I'm doing it. I see that you posted this. How do I get my number? What do I do?
You would comment under when we post the break on Facebook. So it's basically just a post being made on Facebook. And in the comment section, you would write, Chris, give me spot 2 and spot 4.
Okay.
We'd confirm your spot and say, okay, you're in. So we know you have those numbers. And then everybody else who's commenting below that will see, okay, 2 and 4 is gone. So I have to take different numbers. So
are we saying Venmo, PayPal,
Cash App, and any of the above? Just don't tell Facebook. Again, we ran into a few problems with them that I guess they consider this some sort of form of gambling for some reason. But but Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, things like that.
Rob, our problem with Facebook is long lived, and it's crazy that you're not able to do that. We're not able to say the word fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, got very creative with how we say it.
But there's all of these sites where like girls have their tits out, dudes are like, doing helicopters with their dicks. That might not have been Facebook. I don't know. I was on Butch's phone and something was up. But it's so crazy that you can't do that. But like
the things they flag and the things they don't flag, it's
absolutely insane. Because we got this, it was a reel that we did, Chris, right? And it's like that reel got flagged. We don't even know what reel it was, and none of the reels we did were like doing anything bad. There was no curses. There was no maybe that's what it was. There was no tits hanging out. So. I don't know.
We need to be better. We need to be better.
Yeah.
They don't give you a reason. It's nothing specific. Like you can't say this. You can't show this.
Usually for the reels, no. For the posts, yes. They'll say we're promoting self-harm when we say fuck Bohm or whatever. So
we're like, tell Taiwan to go fuck himself. They're like, well, that's self-harming.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing in person though. So I don't know why I can't do it on Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's some nerd sitting pressing a button anyway.
Correct. We're some nerd setting the algorithm.
Right.
Yeah.
Just kind of before we kind of move into the next step, like, is there anything else that is upcoming that you want us to know about or to listeners know about, Rob, with RJRK Sports Group?
The only other thing I would tell you besides first come to the page, RJRK Sports Group, request approval. Again, we're going to accept you. Before you get in a break, if you still don't know exactly what we're doing, you can look back. A lot of our videos are on there. A lot of our items that we gave out are on there. And got to check out our memes. We spend a lot of time taking sneaky pictures of our friends and then turning it into a meme, making fun of them. And that's what we use to promote like what's upcoming that day or that week is usually a picture of my friend drunk sleeping at the bar and things like that. So we have a lot of fun with it.
Don't give us any ideas, though.
Yeah,
the number one thing I'll say about our group and our page is we have fun doing it. Nobody is getting rich. Nobody's doing it. We have fun with it, and we just hang out as friends and do this just like you guys do this. So
What's funny is we did a meme of Steve Mold who popped up because he went to like 3 games last year in Boston, in Baltimore, and somewhere else where the Phillies lost. So we called him the Mush. So we made a meme with him on the Mush holding the track papers and everything. So
absolutely,
Steve
he deserves
the
that.
Mush. Yeah, he became the Mush, and we made a meme out of that. So yeah, we're familiar with making fun of our friends. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, just breaking balls.
Yeah.
So, Rob, stay on with us. We're going to talk some Phillies. So I'm going to kind of kick off the Phillies talk. Nothing about this team or what they're doing should surprise you. It's a bipolar team. If you would have watched today's game singly, you would be like, all right, this team's pretty good. Like runners in scoring position, they're hitting. The bullpen wasn't bad. We got 7 innings out of a starter. It was 1 inning for Orion, 1 inning for Alvarado, mostly clean, minus Tyler Fitzgerald, who is King Kong against the Phillies. Like this dude that was hitting 080, had like 2 home runs, 2 triples, 2 doubles.
What did he raise his average? 350 points this series or something?
He did. Yeah, it was 3. You know, it really is. He's a 400 hitter now. In the Phillies' 8 losses, they're minus 42.
Jesus
and
Christ.
in the Phillies' 11 wins, they're plus 42. So it's not really like it's a tale. It's Jekyll and Hyde, but it's this constant, of like Harper's always Harper. Schwarber's always on base. Is he on a home run streak? No. Castellanos, like honestly, over the last 2 years has been pretty consistent and solid, right? There was some points at the beginning of last year where he was shit. Bohm was awesome at the beginning, totaled shit at the end, and he's shit now. We have 3 solid guys, and we're as good as the next guy that gets hot, right? That's part 1.
Yeah.
And then part 2 is, and I think this might be unpopular, but so is the truth at times. Sanchez is our number 1. And it's not close.
Right.
He's pitched better than anyone. And Wheeler's not the number 2 either. Luzardo is currently the number 2. Wheeler's the 3. Walker's the 4. And half of our losses are because of that fucking toad, Aaron Nola, who is terrible. He is a terrible player. $30 million for a fucking 6 ERA. Yeah, we destroyed Walker for this shit. And yeah, it was half the price, but he's at a 6 as well. Yeah. So, is this a surprise to any of you that we're 11-8?
I think your topic here, Chris, goes into one I had later where I basically threw out, are the Phils who we thought they were? And we had these conversations all during the offseason. What were the issues that this team has?
Yep.
Consistent offense, bullpen issues, hitting with runners in scoring position, striking out too much. And we're watching the same shit. So that's why it gets very frustrating on the page when people are like, it's only 15 games in. It's not only 15 games in. This is the same core group of guys that have been playing for 2.5 years together now. And it's the same shit over and over again. And I made the comment to Chris on a private text that we had the other day about, I think the Phillies going to the World Series in 2022 might have been the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah,
it set our expectations this high for a team that can never meet it. They can't meet it. They're not talented enough to meet it. They're not consistent enough to meet it. Can they get hot enough to meet it? Yeah, they certainly can. They have the talent to beat anybody in the league, but they're not consistent enough to do it. They're not consistent enough. You have an aging veteran core and a younger group that is not carrying their weight. That next generation of players, the Bohms, the Stotts, the Marshes, the guys that are supposed to be supporting those veterans that aren't carrying their weight right now. And it's been going on for 2.5 years. and it's been a step backwards every season. So all the bitching that we did in the offseason is still on display every time we go out there. Yeah. I mean, even today, 5 runs in the first inning, they don't score again until the 9th, and only because they walked the guy, a couple wild pitches. Like, it wasn't because we went out there and smacked the shit out of the ball in the 9th inning and scored a run. It was because they gave it to us. They gave us the fucking run. But that's the way that team operates. 1 big inning a game, and then they die. If they have that big inning. There's other nights where they just sleepwalk through 27 outs. You know?
Yeah, when I watched the game today, and like you guys both have just said, the season in a nutshell, like the 6th inning, they were up 5-1. Sanchez gives up the 2-run home run, and then he comes back and he strikes out the next 2 batters, and he gets out of the inning. He limits the damage. He's like, okay. Kepler goes out and he gets an automatic ball because the pitcher didn't throw the ball in time. But 2 pitches later, he grounds out, and then JT strikes out, and then fucking Bone grounds out on 1 pitch. Now, that's not exactly how you back up your pitcher who just went out there, and he gave up 2 runs. Like you got to come out, you got to see some pitches. You got to, like, we keep hearing the word approach. There is no approach. They've been better, not chasing, but I think that's short-lived. I think we're going to start seeing more of that. And I think we're going to start seeing who these guys are, and that's the problem. Who are they? They have no young superstar. They need a 23-year-old, like some kid who just comes out of nowhere and just fucking lights it up and is on fucking Sports Center every night or baseball. Do they even have baseball tonight anymore? You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Carl Ravitch isn't there. Gammons is gone. Game.
I don't know. Let me look at my Baseball Digest and see if it's still.
Let me pull out my National Sports Daily. No, but you know what I mean?
News.
Like, they don't have anybody young who's fucking stepping up. At least nobody on offense. And then, Chris, you mentioned their young guys. Their young guys are 27, 28 years old.
You're right.
We've been saying this since the offseason. Like, the daycare ain't the daycare anymore. They're like the middle school. And it's like they're just not as good and exciting. None of them have panned out yet.
The funny thing is,
do you have a ray of sunshine for us here? Or
no,
like, is this,
no.
So join the club, like people.
I think what you guys have been saying. I mean, that is anybody surprised, or are they an 11A team? Is this who they are? Yeah, this is who they are. They ran it back. They have the same team that they were last year. So what, you swap Kepler in for Hayes, but this is Bohm, this is Stott. They're not going to be superstars. They're going to be nice players, and they're homegrown, so everybody loves them, rah. But their lineup strikes out too much. Nobody moves runners over. Nobody hits the runners in scoring position. This is who they are, and this is who they've been the past few years. They got hot in 2022. They've had moments over the past couple of years, but this lineup, as it's team as it's constructed, this is who they are. This is who they are. I'm not surprised if we're looking for. Are you surprised? No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's impossible to be. Shannon hears they've regressed every postseason, and Dugan is so right. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. I'm gonna send this to you, Chris. That's always nice.
I'm framing that. It's going to be behind me every podcast. But I was watching the Padres Cub game yesterday, right? And the Padres announcers were talking about they have a new hitting coach this year. And he got the veterans to buy in on putting the ball in play. And they said, once the veterans have bought in, now all the younger guys have bought in. And the Padres are in first place out there in the West. And I watched the game, 2 strike hits. They were working the count. They weren't jumping at the first pitch like I watch with the Phillies all the time. They were moving runners over, runner on second with less than 2 outs. They're hitting the ball to the right side, moving them up. I said, holy shit, I'm watching a baseball team. I'm watching a team that knows how to play. The Tampa Bay Rays are a team that knows how to play baseball. Like, those are teams I enjoy watching. This Phillies team is tough to watch most nights because it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, we hit a home run. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, we hit a double. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They sleepwalk through half of these games.
With all that talk about the Padres, I thought in the background of that video, that guy doing "That's what's in," it was you, and now I know it was you.
Yeah, there you go. I was doing the harmony.
Because the weather guy.
Yeah.
Well, you guys talked about do we have that young guy, young spark? I don't think he's out there. As much as we all love Crawford and we think he's going to come up and be that guy, did anybody see his stats in AAA? It's not like he's tearing the cover off the ball down there. So, I mean, obviously he'd be better than what we're putting out there every day in center field, but I don't think he's that guy that you insert and instantly he's a superstar and it's a completely different team. I think it would be probably a little bit better, again, because you're getting nothing right now from that position, that spot in the lineup. But I don't know if he's ready to be that spark or that guy or the guy who's going to lead us to the championship. So
yeah, I think you get a little, impatient when. Well, I mean, what's Martian? 0 for 34, 0 for 35.
I think
for
since
April?
opening series of the year.
No hits in April, yeah. And, Rojas, other than that one double, he might be one for his last 15 or something like that. And then the defensive lapses. I mean, Rojas lets that ball drop in front of him in St. Louis. He has the bad throw the other night that cost him a run.
To St. Louis.
Yeah, and then Marsh. Yeah, he threw that ball to St. Louis. And then Marsh in left field the one game. I mean, there were 2 catchable balls out there that, ended up being, causing trouble, dropping in and hurting Wheeler. I think Wheeler's been when you made the comment about Sanchez being number 1, I think Wheeler's been hurt by bad defense. Now granted, you can't, after that ball drops in center field, you can't go out and walk the next batter and give up a 3-run homer. That's on Wheeler, but he's out of that inning if that ball's caught. I still think Wheeler's the number 1, but I mean, I've made my feelings on Sanchez known for the last 2 seasons on this podcast that, I think he's the next ace. He's the next guy. And I think he continues to prove it every time out there. And Luzardo's been equally as good.
Awesome.
Yeah. In his start.
Better than expected.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Coming off an injury, I think he's looked great.
Awesome.
So one of the things I want to talk about, it kind of came out this week that the Phillies did engage Kyle Schwarber in some contract talks this offseason, and he kind of poo-pooed them and walked away. Now, we don't know what numbers were exchanged, how many years, and those type of things. But I want to talk about Schwarber and what he does and what he brings to this team. So he's 32 years old, so I'm assuming this contract right now, he's probably looking for one that's going to be his last contract. I think he wants to go to one more team. He doesn't want to bounce around, sign a 2-year deal, and then at 34, 35, be looking for another deal. He gets a lot of shit from Phillies fans, batting leadoff and everything. It fucking works. Every year, the guy's 40-plus home runs, 100-plus walks, 100-plus RBIs, 100-plus runs. I mean, what's a leadoff hitter supposed to do? Produce runs. 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 40-something home runs. Is he the prototypical leadoff hitter? No. But is he productive? He sure as hell is productive. Now, maybe he don't have the best batting average in the world, but he's constantly on base because of the way he walks, and he scores a ton of runs because he's always on base. He's a guy at 32. I think the Phillies need to re-sign him. I think he's a guy the Phillies need to bring back.
How many years are you comfortable with, Chris?
I do 4. I think I do 4. Get him to 30, 36 years old. I'd probably do something similar to what he got. Would he get 4 years, 120, I think, or 125?
No, less.
Yeah.
Less. I think he was like 4 for 80. I think it was
it
only
that
like
low?
20 million a year.
I thought he got more than Castellanos. I thought Castellanos.
I could be wrong, but I thought it was around 20 million a year.
Yeah.
So something similar to that, I think, would be great.
I think would work. Now, he might be looking for more just because he could look back at the numbers and say, well, 100 runs, 100 walks, 45 home runs every year.
Yeah.
So that might be the stalling point. And I don't know how much money I would throw at him, but I think he's a guy that he's a key, I think, to this offense. Now, you have JT. I don't think I'd bring him back. As good as he is defensively, I think it's time to move on at the catcher position, But I think Schwarber's a guy that I would consider imperative to bring back.
It's interesting that Harper has honestly been a little bit better the past 4 games. I wonder who's hitting behind him and if that's why.
Yeah.
You know, he's getting better pitches.
Yeah. And then you have Casty who's hitting well behind Schwarber.
Yeah.
Now you got it like, you know, a 2-3-4 or 3-4-5 that, you know, have to be respected, you know, and you have to pitch to each, you know, all. So it's interesting.
I think what ended up might actually helping the Phillies and hurting Schwarber is that he's a DH. I mean, he's basically a one-trick pony kind of guy.
Yeah.
And those guys really don't get paid like you would expect them to. I looked up like a couple other DHs that maybe signed in the past few years, and they don't really get paid like that. So I think if they could keep him something similar to what he had 3-4 years, not go crazy with it because they're already locked in too long with other guys, obviously Trey Turner. But I think if they could get something similar 3 or 4 years that he has right now, you need him in that lineup. Can you imagine that lineup without him?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, Chris, you said he's not the prototypical leadoff hitter, and my thing has always been, like you said, like he scores runs, so he's not hitting singles and then stealing second to get in scoring position. He's slugging, and then he's also hitting home runs. So he's hitting doubles, he's hitting home run, he's scoring because he's constantly, like you said, on base. He's either walking, he strikes out a lot for a leadoff hitter, but he makes up for it with the other stuff he does. I wasn't on board with Topper switching this the leadoff guy. I think the jury's still out, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I mean, Stott's the key, right? When Stott gets on base, that changes everything. You know,
I like Stott in that spot too.
Yeah.
We've been saying that for a while, you know, like Stott could be that guy, right? 2-strike approach, what was it, 2 years ago? The best in the league.
Yeah.
And like fighting off pitches, seeing a lot, like that's what you really want. And Schwarber gave you that as well with a lot of walks. But if you can get that from Stott, who has the speed, because I don't care if Stott hits home runs at all.
No,
if he's
not at all.
One hitter, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have some questions before we go next. Like, if you let JT go, do we think Marchand's the answer? No.
I think you got to bring in a veteran, and it's got to be kind of a split platoon type thing, because I don't think there's anybody ready in their system yet. I know you see it on the page a lot about O'Hoppe and that trade, but I think that trade was necessary at the time because O'Hoppe was blocked. He wasn't going to play over JT when he was here, and the Phillies needed a center fielder. Marsh was available, and at the time, Marsh was 24 years old. A Gold Glove outfielder with the Angels, you know, in contention for Gold Gloves, with a high draft pick with the potential to be, you know, a good hitter. And it just hasn't panned out. So
it worked for a few years.
Yeah.
He just regressed so much in this season that he's to the point he's unplayable.
Yeah.
He really is.
You could also save money by going Marsh and somebody else in a platoon rather than bringing JT back and then spend that money elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true too. So let's see if there's any other. We got the Philly boys who are going to be on soon. What's up, boys? So thank you for joining in here. I think we had Jason again. What's up with the Casty injury? Hopefully it's just tightness. I don't know. Like, I think it was, you know, the dude wants to play 162. So I think he's been playing well, and I think he's the key to the lineup right now. Yeah. So, you know, and I know you can't do this on here, but you know, Phillies, like, you know, the $20 is $20, you know, who's down to clown if you want to hang around and join them. That's, I mean, I don't know if you can be talked down from $20, but love's love. So I want to talk about Nola and his issues. So,
speaking of down the clown.
Yeah. When this morning, I was pissed off because they lost last night, right? So we're all pissed off. You know, we're not having a good day already. And I get a video. Never mind about that.
Was it from the Philly podcast guys? About 20
Yeah. It was 15 then, but it was a pretty good deal. And like, you know, I was like, all right.
Video.
So a guy, Tony from Twitter, sent, Nola side by side, same exact camera angle. And like you see his mechanics are incredibly off. It's like night and day when you see, one of those slow motion and everything's at the same time. He's loading different, and our loading is different too. But that'll happen day to day. But like the way he's kind of like loading before he pitches, it's like incredibly off. So I feel if like we can see that, he can see that, right? I mean, would we agree with that?
Yeah.
If we have access to this,
and can Cotham not see that?
Right. And maybe he does, and Nola isn't doing it, and they know it. Like, all right, you're still doing it, but him walking people, like that's just something he doesn't do. So is he afraid of giving up the home run because he's on our page so much and we're destroying him? And he's like, fuck it, I'll walk him. Now you're pissed that I walk. But man, if this dude isn't okay and like he's your 5 or 4, I mean, he's probably the 4 no matter what, honestly. Yeah. But, I don't expect a 6 or 7 ERA from Nola. And that's not a 30 million. And like, we're stuck with this dude. Out of all of the people, I am most worried about him right now.
And going into the season, you wouldn't have been. You think he's that consistent guy. He's not. He's going to go 12-8 or something along those lines, and 3.5 ERA, something like that. But my question for you guys would be, and I don't know how you feel about it, is when he did an interview, I think it was after a second bad start, maybe a second start of the year. He said, "Don't worry about my velocity being a tick down or a mile or 2 down." Did it feel like he was kind of kidding himself? I don't know if you guys saw that. He was like, I'm not worried about, so you shouldn't worry about that. But now after 4 starts and it continued, does it have that feel like, is he kidding himself? Does he know something and just getting older or wear and tear, something along those lines? But he does not look like himself at all. Even his good innings, even when he does like 3 up, 3 down and middle, second, third, fourth inning, whatever. I just don't think he looks like himself at all. And every one of his pitches is down 1 or 2 miles an hour. So I think something is up with that. And
so you're thinking he's hurt? You think he's hurt?
I think it might just be like just wear and tear and beat up. And this is who he's going to be, but he doesn't want to change the style, the way he pitched. Maybe you need to change if you don't have that fastball that you could blow by anymore. Or you don't have the pinpoint control like you used to have. You need to change your style a little bit. And maybe he doesn't want to do that, but he should do that. That was just my take, that it just felt like him saying, I'm not worried about it, so you shouldn't worry about it. That it just felt fake, like blowing smoke kind of thing. And I didn't like that. And his last 2 starts, including yesterday or the day before, whenever he pitched last, I like it even less now.
Yeah, I think pitchers are just sensitive about velocity because they know that when they lose a few miles per hour off their fastball, it changes everything they do. Mm-hmm. So there's a good chance he's aware of it. There could be something going on with his body just because he's, a couple years older. Heard somebody on the radio talking about how he just signed this contract and they always do this after they get paid. I don't buy that as much as maybe he's just not in shape yet. Maybe there's something lingering that we don't know about, or worse, which is the fear. Maybe he just lost something.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy, in his career, he's really only had 1 injury in his career. He takes the ball every 5th day, and he's been a guy that usually gives you at least 6. He'll go out there and give you 6 innings. So he's got a lot of mileage on that arm. And he's never been that 97, 98 guy. He's never been the the fastball by you guy. He's been a guy that's more movement, deception, location. The knuckle curve is a big pitch. He still gets a ton of strikeouts. But I think the big thing, he almost reminds me of, he doesn't throw as soft as Jamie Moyer does, but he's got to be perfect. And if he makes a mistake, guys kill it. And I think he's making more mistakes now than he did in the past. And I definitely think the walks are a result of trying not to give up home runs and not make the mistakes. So trying to be perfect.
Lack of confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to be too perfect and saying, I don't want to leave this over the plate. So I'm going to throw it a little bit more to the outer half. And the ball runs a little outside and now it's a walk. But I mean, the last 2 starts, he's walked runs in, which is like, I mean, come on, that's something that you never saw out of Nola. Like, he's a guy that gives up a ton of hits. He drives me crazy with 2-strike hits, the amount of 2-strike hits he gives up. And he'll get a guy buried 0-2, 1-2, and then he starts nibbling and they'll foul off 5 pitches. And the next thing you know, it's 3-2 and he's throwing 90 pitches in 5 innings, that's my biggest problem. And I am concerned that, he's the dip in velocity, the dip in control.
But the same mentality. That he pitches like he used to pitch 3 or 4 years ago. Something might need to change, and maybe Moyer should talk to him. Moyer knew better than anybody. You have to change your style a little bit every now and then.
Yeah.
I think it might be
pitch backwards a little bit. And I mean, I think, I mentioned before, I think he gets rattled with runners on base. I think this pitch clock affects him more than any pitcher I've ever seen. Because I thought he was very deliberate before the pitch clock, and now he's rushed a little bit. He's a little sped up because of the pitch clock. I think it's impacted him more than most guys, and the way he pitches and his style. So, But I want to move on to talk about the bullpen.
Chris, can I stop a second? Because I just want to bring up a few things. So, Rob, there's a lot of people that apparently are joining RJRK, and we're seeing. So this is good. The podcast is good.
Hopefully, one of the other guys in the group is working the page and accepting.
He is, because they said we're accepting. I think Philly Podcast is also getting some traction here, because after that $20 offer, they're asking. I've seen, is there coupons? Is there a Groupon for it? Will you tell anyone? So, this is good. I'm glad that, we're here. People helping people, guys.
No pictures. That's exactly
it.
Making
people
connections.
People. Yep.
I love it. I'm going on Philly podcast right after this show here. So the bullpen, hot topic. We've talked about the bullpen. We've talked about the bullpen. We've talked about the bullpen. We've talked about the lack of urgency in the offseason to improve the bullpen, and then letting guys like Hoffman and Estevez go. Even though they had their struggles in the playoffs last year, I was hoping that we would keep at least one of them. But we let Estevez and we let Hoffman go and replaced them with Joe Ross, Jordan Romano, and Carlos Hernandez. So from a bullpen standpoint, what I wanted to talk about is who do you trust? I mean, I'm going to give you my list from 1 through 8 of how I trust these guys in the bullpen. And I just want to see if you guys have a similar thought pattern as I do, or if you think I'm off base. The one guy who's kind of rose up my, last week I wanted to kill the guy. This week I'm kind of like, okay. And that's Jordan Romano, is a guy that I'm having more confidence in.
He's your number one?
He's not my number one. No, I'm just saying.
I thought you were going 1 through 8.
He's rose up the ranking. So 1 is everyday Matt Strahm. He's the first guy that when he comes in the game, he's a little erratic, but I know he's going to get the job done. I don't know how he does, because again, another guy not overpowering. I think he fools most guys with that fastball. Pitches up in the zone, which I think is effective for him. The second guy is Kirkering. I think he's my number 2 out of the bullpen. Number 3 is Alvarado, and he's pitched pretty well this year. Walks the tightrope a lot, and you can usually tell what kind of Alvarado you're going to get from the first pitch he throws. You go, all right,
exactly.
It's going to be,
wild Alvarado.
Yeah. Hold on to your seat. We're in for a ride. I got Romano at 4th. I think if you asked me a week ago, he was probably 7 on the list, but I moved him up. He's had 3 straight scoreless appearances. His velocity seems to be up, which helps that slider. He's throwing more strikes. So I think after that blow up against the Dodgers, he's looked pretty good in his last 3 outings. 5 is Jose Ruiz. He's a mop-up kind of guy, but the rest of these guys, I mean, after you get past Romano, I have zero confidence in Ruiz, Carlos Hernandez, Tanner Banks, Joe Ross.
Yeah.
That's my order, and I think those last 4 that I named are mop-up guys. And in some of these games, we've had to bring them in the 7th inning of 1-run games, or games we're winning, and I think that's where you're missing a Hoffman, and you're missing an Estevez in the back end. And I think Dombrowski did this team a disservice in the offseason by not addressing the bullpen, because we know how good our starting pitching is. And to not have an equally as good bullpen is a fucking disservice. Let's let our starter kick ass for 6-7 innings and then blow it in the last 3 or 4. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
So what's the solution here, Chris? Like, Suarez is coming back. Oh, does he go to the bullpen? I'm a 6-man rotation guy. I don't give a fuck if Wheeler likes it or not.
And you got Painter too. You got Painter in the wings. I mean, that's when you'll really have to make a decision. I would go 6. I think I would go 6. You got Nolan, Wheeler are both, north of 30.
Right.
I mean,
I
take some innings off their arms.
Yeah, we're talking about Nola's innings and his body. Like, if you go to that 6-man rotation, you are going to limit those innings a little bit. Now, that's assuming that Taiwan can go more than 4. That Ranger doesn't resort back to who he was the second half of last year. My list is about the same as yours, Chris. I only listed the top 4. I got, Alvarado. I got Strom. Strom's whip is like 0.72. He's having a really good year.
It is exactly 0.72. I got the stats right here. 0.72.
Yeah, 1.08 ERA. He's got 13 strikeouts, 8 innings. Like, he's doing his job. And then you got Kirkering, who's doing his job. He's throwing walks. He's got 3 walks in 3 innings, which, as long as they're spread out and not fucking at the worst time possible. And then Romano, like you said, his last three outings have been good. And he's only had 3 terrible outings. And again, we go back to velocity with Nola. You see the velocity now with Romano, and you see what he's been able to do with it, because he can pitch off of that. I think it's important. It's imperative for us to get a better Nola, and like all of our starters need to go deep into the games, because those bottom 4 are just so bad. And I talked to Chris about this on Sunday at the Boyle, and I'm not sure if he remembers to Noazic. And my suspicion is that
I remember
Joe Ross and Jose Ruiz, are they the same person? Do they just change uniforms and come out?
The tough part about having them on your team and signing Joe Ross is that you signed Joe Ross and you got Joe Ross.
Exactly.
That's
the downside.
Yeah.
The thing that I'll say about that is that worries me about the 6-man is Ranger was never a deep into the game kind of starter. And now coming off of injury and coming back, you can't really expect him to go more than 4. You'd hope for 5. And then on that 6th day, who comes in? Who's your first guy out of the bullpen to get you through a jam in the 5th and then through the 6th till you get to the arms at the back end that you trust? So limiting it to maybe 5 guys, and is Ranger that guy who comes in to help Walker or Nola get through the 4th, 5th, 6th inning? Or is Walker that guy? It just worries me that 6 starters, Sanchez and Wheeler, go deep into the games. The other guys, not so much. I mean, Luzardo's been great too. But the days it's Walker and Ranger, who gets you through that 5th and 6th and 7th? Because Banks, Ruiz, Ross, they're unpitchable in a tight game or trying to hold the lead. They really are. I don't ever want to see Tanner Banks on the mound again. I really don't. I don't. They mentioned on the game the other night, I don't know if it was Rube or Ben or whoever was doing the game, that said he's not a situational lefty to come in and get a lefty.
Yeah.
So what are you bringing him in for? Like, why is he on this team if he can't get a lefty out?
The only reson he's in the league is because he's left-handed. That's the only reason.
But he can't get lefties out.
Yeah,
if you're a lefty that doesn't get lefties out, I mean, play softball.
Rob, I can't believe that Rube or Team X said something so smart, so I'm going to attribute that to you.
It must not have been him.
I think it was you.
Must not have been him. Maybe it was McCarthy. I don't know.
It's impossible. Yeah.
That might have been one of my friends.
So Wally Romano started like shit, but the last three's been promising. He stood up like a man, and it's like, I'm terrible. I got to figure it out. And it seems like he has figured it out. So I do like that. The tough part of having a bullpen where you have 3 or 4 mop-up guys is like, when are they used then?
Right.
Like, because there's going to be situations where you just need that, that tough lefty. There's tons of tough lefties out there because we faced them 3 or 4 times a game. So why the fuck can't we fucking figure it out?
Yeah,
like, and Tanner Banks ain't the dude.
No,
I don't know who it is. Like, it really, like, there's always like, oh, it's a funky lefty. He's throwing the frisbee down under. It's always like, a guy throwing a slider on the outside corner to a Phillies batter or inside. And that's always, a great pitch. It's a great pitch against a Philly, right? Yeah. Whether you're right or left-handed. But how do you address this, guys? Like, they're not going to treat, these are all DFA guys. You're DFAing Banks, you're DFAing Hernandez, someone else DFA. Like, what do you do here? Is there triple A stuff?
No, I don't think right now. I think it's a hold on to your hat till the trade deadline, and then hopefully the Phillies are in the position where they go, we need to upgrade, and they just make the moves. Like, I mean, a couple years ago, remember the Didi Gregorius, and they just, said, shit, we got to get rid of this dead weight that we have on this team to get better. And you hope that that's what they, that they do this season.
Because I'm getting that Embry vibe and Corey Knebel, like I'm getting that vibe. And I wanted to, I definitely wanted to do some harm to myself.
This could be the season.
When half your bullpen is unusable, what are they out there for?
When do you use them? Yeah.
This could be the season that they finally trade like they finally trade some prospects. They may have to do that. They may have to dip into their well of coveted prospects they're always untouchable. At this point, it's like, okay, we need bullpen arms. We need serviceable bullpen arms. We have to let go of whoever.
Well, if we're sitting here and we're having the conversations about bullpen problems, offense problems, inconsistency. If we're seeing it and know it, Dombrowski and Topper, they all know it. So are they going to say now's the time? Like, one guy's going to put us over the top. Maybe we'll get hot and we'll win. Like, I don't know. Like this, I think like this year with the way, like, if they don't re-sign Schwarber, if they don't re-sign Real Muto, Castellanos will be heading into his last year of his deal. There's some flexibility financially. And do they leave it open and say, we're going to go out in the offseason, we're going to go get a Kyle Tucker type guy, and we're going to go get this guy, and we're going to reload. Kyle Tucker would be that 28, 29-year-old guy that comes in and hits 330 home runs and 100 RBIs. Are they going to are they waiting until this offseason to kind of reboot this whole fucking thing and just?
I don't think it could. I
It's too
think
late
they
by
have,
then.
Yeah, I think it's too late by then too, and that window is slowly closing.
Oh, I know.
Day by day. We just look at what we talked about. Of Turner struggling, of Nola struggling. These are your core guys. Bowman stopped not taking that next step. I don't know. That window is closing. We're a bunch of downers, by the way, but this is just the reality of being a Phillies fan and a Philadelphia fan. And we're honest, if nothing else. Maybe Topper needs to be honest, or maybe Dombrowski needs to be honest and say, this isn't a well-constructed team. What the hell were we thinking?
Yeah.
I hope they're saying that. I hope they're not sitting back proud, looking at the standings going, hey, we're still 11-8. We're right there. If the season
3 games above.
Yeah. We'd be in the playoffs
not looking at
right
the
now.
standings. They're looking at the seats going, Hey, another 40 grand tonight, another 40 grand tonight. That's what they're looking at, and that's ching.
Yep.
Talking about the bullpen, and earlier we were talking about Facebook kind of like not allowing us to say certain things, and I just want to say I do not appreciate this comment that's coming up because Andrew's using an F word that you never use. He said familia.
Oh no.
We don't talk about Bruno nor familia.
That might be a ban.
Guys, I was going to talk about the center field issue, but we're coming up upon the hour, and I think people have to use the bathroom or like dye Easter eggs because that's coming up. So let's go around and get final thoughts. So we'll leave Rob and myself for last. So Chris or Butcha, if you want to go first.
Well, I'll just say that the possibility, just on the center field issue, is this the year that they go out and trade for Trout? I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Dugan, what's your last thought?
Yeah.
Here's my last thought. This team's too good not to be good. So they just need to be fucking better. They're too good not to be good. Just be fucking better.
Yeah. Do you want me to go, Chris? Or you?
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
All right. My thought would be, and we didn't really touch on it, but I actually made notes. I had notes.
Attaboy.
Did anybody else think Trey Turner was going to be better when they signed him? Were
All of us
not thinking? I was expecting the guy leading the league in hits, hitting 320, 30. He's not that guy, and we're stuck with this guy for 5 more seasons, and he's just not what I expected, and I wish he'd be better. Where's that weirdo with the bad Philly accent to do another let's do a standing ovation for Trey because he needs something. He needs something. I mean, this guy's hitting 220 and waving at pitch after pitch after pitch and striking out, and I don't care who's batting leadoff. If Trey's second, he's not moving them over. I thought he would be better, and I'm disappointed.
Rob, it's beautiful to hear you're one of us. Thank you for coming on today.
Well, thank you for having me.
I cannot wait for I didn't know what breaks were, honestly, so I couldn't wait to talk to you and understand this. So I hope that a lot of our people are doing it. So again, if you don't know this before I kind of do the sign off, I want to give Rob one more. It's going across the bottom, RJRK Sports Group. It's a private group on Facebook, but Rob said he'll let anyone in, even DPF fans. So just be careful what you wish for. Look, it's tough, I guess, from where you are because some of those, animals might try to leak in. So I'm glad you're, R and RK are keeping an eye on that.
Yeah. Well, the K is our buddy Kivak. And he's a Mets fan, but he's a quiet Mets fan. He knows his place. He knows his place. So I'll just leave it at that. Great guy, but he knows his role and he knows his place in our group and being a Mets fan. He's very quiet.
All right.
You might get some F the Ks on your page after.
Yeah.
we say it all the
time. Despite that, Rob, thank you for spending your time with us tonight. And on the note of, the K, I want to say fuck the Mets. We got the Marlins coming up and we have the Mets. I want to stick it to the Mets up at Citi Fields. I really do. So my ideal situation would be go up there and sweep them. And I want to go there. And then I'm going to come back home and go to Philly podcast and just get, do that special knock on the back door, bang, 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 bang. And then we'll know it's you. Give them the little Groupon, and then you're all set. So fuck the Mets. Thanks for everyone for joining in. We will see you in about a week. But Phils, let's beat the next 2 teams in new series that we're going against. So good night, everyone.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Fuck the Mets.
Fuck the Mets.